Alright, so, first episode. Why does everybody hate Transformers Revenge of the Fallen? And to be quite, I really like the movie. Kind of. I enjoyed it the first time I saw it, and, a couple years ago, I had a friend named Josh, and we were talking about, why the movie wasn't a very good movie, and, he started explaining it, but then it was the end of the day, and the bell rang, and I had to catch the bus, and I never got to finish that conversation because he moved, so, yeah, so I did a little bit of research, and, I think I figured out why so many people really don't like this movie. And so, let's get right into it. So let's address the elephant in the room. One of the biggest complaints I heard about this movie were about mud flapping skids. Okay, now let me just pause to say this. If you're offended by two giant red and green robots, you need to get yourself a steam check, okay? Because these two robots do not reflect society. One of the biggest things I heard when I was doing my research, a whole bunch of people were like, if you're black, you'll be so offended. I'm black, and I'm like, I don't give a fuck about these giant red and green robots. If you really are, like, do not be offended by these giant green robots. The only offensive thing about these robots is the fact that they're not funny. They're supposed to be comedy relief, and they're not fucking funny. But the fact that they sounded, dare I say, ghetto, is a mute point. Okay, so I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say what everyone was thinking. Everyone was thinking it. I'm just gonna say it. Everyone thought mud flapping skids was just a bunch of niggas. And the problem with that is, there's no direct link between mud flapping skids to being black. Okay, the only things that we saw were qualities, stereotypical qualities that we saw. So we're perpetuating these stereotypes by ascribing these qualities to robots that don't actually fucking reflect society. Think about it for a second. It's not like at any point in this movie these guys are like, hey, our ancestors back on planet Cybertron slaves, and now we came here, we're like the lowest of the low on the Cybertronian, and then they were like, well, what part of Cybertron was it? They'll be like, oh, it was Ethiopia for Slima. I don't give a fuck. I'm just saying, just don't be offended by these stupid giant green robots. I mean, seriously, like, if you're a grown ass man and you're bitching and complaining about two giant green robots from the planet Cybertron and how they are racially offensive, shut the fuck up. But this is where mud flapping skids truly fail. They're supposed to be comedy relief characters, but they're not funny. They're not funny characters, So it's kind of like Jar Jar Binks back in Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. He's supposed to be comedy relief, but he's not. He just comes off really awkward. Yeah, and that's the thing. They fail as comic relief. Here's the next thing that makes this movie really bad. Misuse of a pretty good premise. Think about it for a second. The movie opens up saying that Transformers have been on Earth for a very long time. But they don't do shit with it. I mean, yeah, I guess they make the little sun harvester thing a part of the pyramids, but they didn't really do anything about it. They said Transformers have been here for a while. They don't really expand upon that. They just said they were here, and that's it. I mean, they don't really incorporate the fact that the Transformers have been here for a very long time into, like, the actual storyline of this film, which they really could have done. It would have been pretty good. I mean, one thing I guess you could say is, like, some of the pharaohs' faces kind of look like the Fallen's face, but it's not really saying much of anything. It's just, so I guess they had a really good premise by saying that the Transformers have already been to Earth prior to Megatron, but they don't go anything with that. I mean, they really could have done, they could have made the Transformers, like, be the Nephilim giants that were in Genesis, but they didn't. The antagonist of this film was absolute garbage. This was a terrible, terrible, terrible villain. The Fallen sucked as a fucking villain, okay? Like, this guy is literally in the film for less than 10 minutes. He shows up, he talks to Megatron, he appears on the TV screen, he stomps on Optimus Prime, and then he dies. That's it. He barely has any premise in the film called Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. This shit should have been called Transformers Optimus Prime is a Beast. Or Transformers The Fallen gets his ass kicked. Because that's what the fuck happens. Like in this whole film, Optimus Prime just beasts out. I mean, he dies halfway through it. He comes back alive. Literally 30 seconds later, he's taking on 2 boss Decepticons like they aren't shit. Okay, so that's the thing. I mean, like, I want you to like think of a film like Star Trek Into Darkness. Okay, I want you to think of Khan. No, wait, I'm sorry about that. Think of anyone that saw that movie knows Benedict Cumberbatch made that shit. I mean, seriously, like when you walk out that movie, you're like, damn, Khan was a fucking beast. Like, this guy could be talking to his hand and you'd still be engrossed in it. The Fallen really has no presence in the film. So he sucked as a villain. He was there and he died. The only thing he did worth mentioning, literally, was die. And that's a terrible villain. Anyone that knows, in order to get a really good movie, you need a really good villain. The villain carries the film. All right. No, so terrible villain. You know. Also, Optimus Prime died. So no one was too happy about that shit. People hate this film because 1. Really offensive characters. 2. Misuse of a really good plot. 3. Terrible villain. And 4. Optimus Prime dies. I don't even find much of a reason to talk about Megan Fox or Shia LaBeouf's performance in the film because it's Transformers. I don't really give a fuck about those guys, even though most of the film did focus on the human characters. So that's probably another reason why people hated it. But yeah. So if you guys like this video, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And more. Why do people hate? Whatever the fuck comes after that. Soon.